Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. And tonight we are going to be covering something very important. In about 20 minutes or so, the House of Commons is going to be voting on whether the Emergencies Act needs to still be there, needs to happen, should be there at all. It's a pretty important vote. And from what I can gather, the NDP is strategically going to vote in favor of this, specifically because they know that it will be a confidence issue and they do not want another election. So it looks like the NDP is basically Jagmeet Singh is going to force the NDP to vote with the Liberals, regardless of their feelings on it or not, because there have been some Liberals and NDPs that have stated that they are um, concerned about the act, but that they are going to vote in favor of it because they do not want um, an election, which is disconcerting. But here we go. Before we watch that vote, and Functional will be joining us in a moment. He DM'd me and said that he was running a little bit behind. I told him no worries, join whenever you're ready. So he should be joining us shortly. But while we're waiting for the vote to start, we're gonna play Mr. Poilievre's speech in the House of Commons on Sunday about rejecting the Emergencies Act. It's a 9-minute speech, so reacting to it should take us pretty close to the time that we need for the vote. So here we go.
There is indeed an emergency in this country. Indeed, there are a series of emergencies. There's the emergency of the family whose 14-year-old daughter has attempted suicide after 2 years of isolation from sports, social interaction, and other healthy activities that sustain a happy and heartful mind.
Yep.
There is the emergency of the federal public servant who, for unrecognized medical reasons, can't get vaccinated and is now deprived of an income and a job.
Yep.
There's the emergency of the trucker who was hailed as a hero while driving our goods and services across international borders unvaccinated over 2 years, who suddenly was declared a public health threat and deprived of his job as well. There is the emergency of the 32-year-old still living in his mom's basement because under the pretext of COVID, government printed so much money that it now costs $836,000 for the average house.
Yep, and that's starting price. Like, if you're going to buy a house still, you can bet that the house will sell a good $200,000 to $300,000 over what it was posted at. So that $836,000 posting price will easily go over $1 million in the bidding of over that house. It's and these are not like houses that should be over $1 million. These are not even houses that should be over $800,000. But they are.
There's still time to close both your move-in exercise rings. Totally worth it.
Yes, I will be closing my move and exercise rings. Quiet.
Dismiss.
After the stream. Watch.
165 calories, 70%.
And yes, I did get my watch to start calling me Blind Press. That don't ask me how I did that, but I did. Let's see. TBH should be a confidence vote by default. Yep. It should be. Hey, Owen. Sing is such a bully. Yep. Yep. All right, let's carry on here.
The emergency of the single mother trembling as she walks down the grocery aisle because she can't afford a basket of affordable goods.
Yep.
Because the government has inflated her cost of living. There is the emergency created by the regulatory gatekeepers who keep people in poverty by blockading First Nations people from the ability to develop their own resources and blockade immigrants from the ability to work in the very professions for which they are trained and qualified. Yep. These are the emergencies we should be addressing.
That is the biggest problem with people that come to this country as an immigrant. You have no idea. Well, I'm sure, because I'm sure this happens in the States too. But the amount of cab drivers, pizza delivery guys, um, uh, convenience store clerks, um, are engineers, surgeons, um, you know, researchers, like highly skilled professionals by trade and degree, but because of our accreditation issues, they are not able to come here and continue their profession of study slash trade because our systems are not the same as theirs, and we do not have, as of yet, a feasible way to bring them up to accreditation for our country, and we should. We absolutely should have a way for, say, a doctor from, India, or even an Eastern European to come in and get reaccredited easily. So yeah, recertification is hard. Yeah.
The Prime Minister has created a new emergency. What is his motivation? Of course, it is to divide and conquer. How did this?
They absolutely should, Costin.
Well, let's remember, the Prime Minister suddenly imposed a brand new vaccine mandate on the very truckers who had been free to travel across borders without a vaccine. And he did it at a time when provinces and countries around the world were removing vaccine mandates.
Yeah, he did.
He did it to a group of people who are by far the least likely to transmit a virus because they work and sleep all by themselves 22 hours a day.
Yep.
Media asked his health minister and his chief medical officer for evidence supporting the decision. Neither had any, and in fact, the medical officer said it was time to return to normalcy.
She did. Even so, when Teresa, wear a mask while you're having sex, Tam says, no, now it's time to get back to normal. That should be a sign. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That's probably something that should be happening.
So yet, the Prime Minister, in spite of all of these facts, brought in this new mandate to deprive people of their living. Why? Because he knew that it would spark in them a sense of desperation.
Yeah.
If he could deprive them of their incomes, they would be so desperate that they would have to rise up and protest. And then he could further demonize them and call them names and attack their motives and belittle them and dehumanize them in order to galvanize the majority against the minority. This must be the political opportunity that his deputy Prime Minister spoke about when she described what COVID represented to this government. They
Yep.
have attempted to amplify.
He is not
advantage
mincing
of
his
every
words at
pain,
all.
every fear, every tragedy that has struck throughout this pandemic in order to divide one person against another and replace the people's freedom with the government's power. Now, at the beginning of the pandemic,
So Elwin says, it's been a bad year. After my degree, I considered getting a nursing degree. They wouldn't accept my pre-credits, or my pre-med credits at Ryerson. Not until I shelled out a fully. Oh my god, that's stupid. That is so stupid, Elwin. Oh my god.
it started immediately. The government attempted to ram through a law giving it the power to raise any tax to any level for any reason without a vote in Parliament.
Yeah.
They tried to pass Bill C-10 to strip away free speech online. Thankfully, conservatives blocked them for doing so. His authorities have said they want to track Canadian cell phones for the next 5 years. And now this, the Emergency Act, the latest and greatest example of attacks on our freedom. Ostensibly meant to stop blockades that had already ended before he even brought forward this legislation in Alberta, Manitoba, and at the Ambassador Bridge. Peacefully, those blockades were ended in some cases with protesters hugging the police officers and bringing the matters to a successful close so that goods and services could resume.
Shh. That's a hate fact, Mr. Polyev. Shh. You can't say that. That's a hate fact. Sorry, guys. I'm just checking. Checking StreamYard. Okay. Oh, shit. And I forgot to do that. Okay. That's better. All right.
And instead, in that context, the Prime Minister brought in a law that not even Jean Chrétien brought in after 9/11 killed dozens of Canadians in a terrorist attack. Not even Prime Minister Harper brought in when a terrorist murdered a Canadian soldier at the War Monument and came running into the center block spraying bullets in all directions.
Yep.
And not even this Prime Minister brought in when blockaders were standing in the way of First Nations who were attempting to build the Coastal GasLink pipeline.
And here we go.
Let's go. Get
With, oh, here's Mr. Functional here. Hold on, let me switch over. Let me switch over here. Oh, fuck off. Switching over to StreamYard. Okay. Hello.
Excuse me. I was trying to get something out before. Yeah. Anyway, hi.
Oh,
Yeah. Lost track painting, and then lost track of time painting, and then I had to start dinner, and can't let Elwin go hungry.
no worries. So we're just looking at the speech here. He is pissed in this. Holy shit. Like, he is not
I should
pulling
say
off
so.
any punches. Like,
Yeah, this is the 9-minute one. There's a full like 15-minute one. There's an addition from a member of the Bloc Québécois who asks him a question, and at the end of like the end of the entire 15 minutes he's allotted speech wise, he takes a dig at their funding of the CBC. It was cute.
Let's see. Hey, Skep.
Yet, for the first time in this bill's this law's 3-decade history, the Prime Minister brings it in to address what he says was a protest in front of Parliament Hill. Ironically, This power goes beyond any of the protests and or blockades the Prime Minister claims to want to address. For example, it will allow governments and banks to seize people's bank accounts and money for donating to the wrong political cause. One journalist asked the Justice Minister if small sums donated, for example, to support an end to vaccine mandates could get someone's bank account frozen. He didn't deny it. Instead, he said such people who make donations of that kind should be, quote, very worried. To freeze someone's bank account.
And that was Lametti, I think he's referring to, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that was David Lametti that made that remark, that, you know, even if it's like $25, $50, and you're just some like Joe Schmo that, you know, wants this to end, but and you know, they feel that, you know, that they can't go and protest, but they want to support those that are.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, those people are demonized,
criminals.
And they should
Federal
be
criminals.
very worried. Like, wow. That's just disgusting. I'm glad that he's reading these out, like these quotes, and like outlining what's like. That's what he does in his speeches, and I like that. He doesn't just go by feelings. He presents fact.
Yeah, he's not vague. He's specific.
Yeah.
This person said this.
It's not just an attack on their finances, but on their personal security. If your bank account is frozen, you can't buy food.
Nope.
You can't buy fuel. You can't pay your children's daycare fees. And you can, under this law, face that personal attack without being charged with a single solitary crime.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister says that this is time limited, yet his own finance minister said she wants some of the tools to be permanent.
Yep.
He said it will be geographically targeted, yet his own parliamentary secretary for justice said, quote, that the act technically applies to all of Canada.
Yep.
So the rules apply everywhere and indefinitely. Finally, there's nothing in the act that limits the number of the kinds of financial actions that could lead someone to have their account frozen. And if they are frozen unjustifiably, the act specifically bans people from suing either the bank or the government for that unjustifiable treatment, opening the door for people who have nothing whatsoever to do with either the blockades or protests having their bank accounts frozen without cause.
That is, and this is why, like, they keep saying, oh, it's limited, it's temporary, blah, blah, blah. It's like, but you guys have opened this door. You guys have set this precedent. You guys have, and Chrystia Freeland, even in that presser that we covered earlier today, wants to make some of these things permanent. And that's scary. And it needs to be addressed. It needs to be, like, the fact that Jagmeet Singh has come out and said that confirmed support for this, and basically said that the party will be voting for it in order to prevent a non-confidence vote.
To prevent I don't see how the two are related.
So, because he says that if this fails, it will be a confidence issue for the Liberals and it will force an election, and he doesn't want to do that.
I think if it wins, there's still a chance, but yeah.
But that's what Jagmeet Singh was saying.
Yeah, but Jagmeet's an idiot and a liar.
Yeah. So let's see here.
The Prime Minister says that he wants to do this to remove the blockades that have already been removed. He says he needs these unprecedented powers in order to restore, to bring our country's order back to the pre-protest period, although across this country that has already occurred. So, Madam Chair, I say to this House that I oppose this unjustifiable power grab, and as Prime Minister of Canada, I will ensure that no such abuse of power ever happens again.
Amen. Hopefully he's true to his
But
word.
I say that we should end some of these blockades, and we can remove all of the blockades. Let's remove the mandates and restrictions that are blocking people's livelihoods today. Let's end the blockades on freedom of speech that this government is trying to erect with its online censorship bill. Let's end the regulatory blockades so builders can provide affordable homes. First Nations can develop their economies and escape poverty.
Oh,
And
no, you don't want that, though, Mr. Polyev.
For which they were
You
trained.
don't want people to not have to rely on the government. That would be a bad thing.
So people's wages can again buy them homes, food, and fuel. Let's remove that blockade. Let us put people back in control of their lives by making Canada the freest place on earth. Free to speak, free to think, free to work, free to worship, free to own a home and build one's own destiny. Let us bind up the nation's wounds with compassion and respect and unite our country for freedom.
That was...
It's funny, his
awesome.
expression, he sits down and hits the bench and he's just like, oh God. Like that took a lot out of him.
Yeah. He's
trying to keep his composure. He's pissed off and he's upset like a lot of us are.
Yeah. He is. And rightfully so. Because this is just absolutely ridiculous. Now I'm on CPAC's website because I'm trying to...
Skep asks, does he have any real chance to be PM in an election? You mean the guy we were just watching being the leader for the Conservative Party? There's a very good chance.
Very good chance, yeah.
People within the party had wanted him to push for what, like the last 4 years? They wanted to push him higher up in the ranks, but he's like, no, I don't want to be PM. I don't want to be PM. And then this happens, and he's just like, suck it up, Buttercup. There's nothing better we can do. We have no leadership. I'm sick of everybody throwing their hands up and going, I don't know, in his own party. As far as beating Trudeau, that's possible. We shall see. So where are we at with
I think I've got CPAC pulled up here. I went right to their website. Oh, I think we're just in time. Oh, they're still talking. Okay, hold on.
For the government House Leader is the vote tonight a confidence vote? And if the vote
yes,
will the Prime Minister plunge us into an election?
Be a confidence vote, please.
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the debate, but it's time to vote.
Oh, I like the speaker.
I appreciate the question, but it's time for the vote. Wow.
Mr. Medicino, seconded by Mr. Trudeau, moved that pursuant to Section 58 of the Emergencies Act, this House...
We're right in time for the vote, you guys.
The public order emergency proclaimed on February 14th, 2022. La période de 10 minutes pour les députés votants.
The 10-minute period for members voting electronically has started.
Oh, they only get 10 minutes to vote electronically?
Members participating.
It's pretty efficient, yeah.
All those in favor of the motion will please rise.
All those in favor of the motion.
Ms. Groh.
Ms. Groh.
Mr. McGuinty.
Mr. McGuinty.
Mr. Scarpaleggia.
Mr. Scarpaleggia.
Ms. Cara.
Ms. Cara.
Monsieur Vandal.
Mr. Vandal.
Mr. Gatineau.
There's a couple that didn't stand.
Yeah.
Mr. Mendicino.
Mr. Mendicino.
Monsieur Serré.
Monsieur Serré.
How can the guy who brought the bill vote on it? It's so dumb.
That doesn't seem right.
Monsieur Arsenault.
Monsieur Arsenault.
Monsieur Sanson.
Monsieur Sanson.
Mr. Fillmore.
Mr. Fillmore.
Mr. Gerritsen.
Mr. Gerritsen.
Mrs. Romanado.
Mrs. Romanado.
Mr. Lamour.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Ms. Sahota,
Mr. Hota,
Mr. Virani,
Mr. Varani,
Mr. Fergus,
Mr. Fergus,
Mr. Ananda Sangari,
Mr. Ananda Sangari,
Ms. Dillon,
Ms. Dillon,
Oh,
Mr.
now they're standing
Essasi,
up.
Mr. Asasi,
Madame Mendez,
Madam Mendez,
Mr. Nagvi,
Oh, come on.
Mr. Nekri,
Mr. Sidhu Brampton East,
Mr. Sidhu Brampton East,
Mrs. Suggs,
Mrs. Suggs,
Mr. Fragiscatos,
Mr. Fragascatos,
Mr.
Commies.
Maloney,
All these are
Shifke.
commies.
Mr. Shifte,
Mr. Sorbara,
Mr. Savara,
Mr. Dong,
Mr. Dong,
Mr. Lewis Kitchener-Conestoga,
Mr. Lewis,
Of
Mr.
course.
Conestoga,
Ms. Taylor Roy,
Ms. Taylor Roy,
Ms. Blaney,
Ms. Blaney,
Mr. Bulleris,
Mr. Buller,
Oh, there are groans.
Madam Hughes,
There are
Ms.
groans.
Matheson,
Ms. Matheson,
Ms. Idlard,
Ms. Idler,
Ms. Barron,
Ms. Barron,
Ms. May Saanich Gulf Highlands,
Ms. May Satisfy,
Fuck you, May.
All those opposed to the motion will please rise.
That was a small list.
Ms. Finlay,
Ms. Finley,
Mr. Paulus,
Mr. Pullers,
Mr. Nater,
Mr. Nader,
Mr. Barlow,
Mr. Barlow,
Mr. Chong,
Mr. Chong,
Mr. Moore,
Mr. Moore,
Mr. Brassard,
Mr. Brassard,
Mr. Berthold,
Mr. Berthold,
Mr. Albus,
Mr. Aldous,
Ms. Danshaw,
The
Mr.
Bloc and the
Mr. Macaulay Edmonton
Conservatives.
West,
Mr. Macaulay, Edmonton West,
Mr. Schmale,
Mr. Schmale,
Mr. Tucker,
I don't think I've ever been
Mr.
for a
Baldinelli.
block
Mr.
vote
Lloyd,
ever in my
Mr.
life.
Mm.
Mr. Duncan Stormondanda Salgangari,
Mr. Duncan,
Yeah, it really should cost him. He says it should be a confidence vote by
Mr.
default.
It
Calkins,
should, yeah.
Mr. Upal,
Mr. Upal,
Mr. Malillo,
Mr. Milillo,
Mr. Aitchison,
Mr. Aitchison,
If you want to enact the Emergencies Act,
Mr. Perkins,
Mr. Perkins,
Yeah.
Mrs.
And
Gallant,
these are all the people
Mr.
in the
Reed,
House.
Mr.
They
Reed,
still
Mr.
haven't counted the
Caputo,
electronic
Mr.
votes
Ms.
either.
Ferrari,
Yet.
Ferrari,
So
Mr. Martel,
Mr. Martel,
Mr. Gould,
Mr. Gould,
Mr. Steinley,
Mr. Steinley,
Ms. Rude,
Ms. Rude,
Madame Vien,
Madame Bien,
Ms. Lewis, Alderman Norfolk,
Ms. Lewis, Alderman Norfolk,
Mrs. Block,
Mrs. Bloch,
Mr. Vierson,
Mr. Vierson,
Mr. Williamson,
Mr. Williamson,
Mr. McGuire,
Mr. McGuire,
Mr. Abultaif,
Mr. Abutayev,
Mr. Arnold,
Mr. Arnold,
Mr. Généreux,
Mr. Généreux,
Mr. Deltel,
Mr. Delta,
Mr. Godin,
Mr. Godin,
Mr. Cooper,
Mr. Cooper,
Mr.
they
Kelly,
better be Pincalo.
Mr. Kitchen,
Mr. Kitchen,
Mrs. Stubbs,
Mrs. Stubbs,
Mr. Shields,
Mr. Shields,
Mr. Waugh,
Mr. Wall,
Mr. Weber,
Mr. Weber,
Mr. Motts,
Mr. Motts,
yeah,
Mr.
they're
Lewis,
scared to
Mr.
have
Lewis,
another
Mr.
election. Yeah.
Bragdon,
Mr. Bragdon,
Mr. Dalton,
Hey,
Not like
Donald.
last time when they were able to sneak it in and do it when they were
Mr. Cram,
Mr. Kurek,
Mr. Curran,
looking okay.
Mr.
Yeah.
Morrison,
Mr. Morrison,
And then they clamped down.
Patzer,
Yep.
Sir,
Mr. Soroka,
That's how tyrants work.
Mr.
Oh, look, we're not doing anything. We're
Mr.
free.
Ruff,
We're
Mr.
open.
Ruff,
Mr. Brock,
Mr. Brock,
Mr. Muse,
Mr. Muse,
Mrs. Roberts,
Mrs. Roberts,
Mr. Barrett,
Mr. Barrett,
Mr. Poiliev,
Mr. Polyev.
Monsieur Terrien,
Mr. Terrier,
Monsieur Sainte-Marie, Madame Normandin, Monsieur Simard, Monsieur Bergeron,
Mr. Bergeron,
Madame de Bellefeuille,
Madame de Bellefeuille,
Madame Michaud,
Madame Michaud,
Monsieur Brunel Duceppe,
Monsieur Brunel Duceppe,
Monsieur Thériault,
Monsieur Thériault,
Monsieur Perron,
Monsieur Perron,
That's a lot
Monsieur
of
Barcelou
people.
Duval,
Monsieur Barcelou Duval,
But
Champoux,
keep in mind, most of the Liberals and NDPs are hiding at home. And they're going to vote
The House will
electronically.
now wait for the electronic
There's a
voting
lot of
to
empty seats
end
everywhere. So.
before
Yeah.
resuming its proceedings.
Plus, I think that if some of them who are against it want to go against the party, but not like show their face because they're scared.
Yeah. Oh, really? You're going to put up this weird ass music?
Of
This
course,
sounds...
the commies are voting. Yay!
Yeah.
You see red, you see orange. It's all commies.
It's... ugh.
There's nothing liberal about this party. They're all just fucking commies. At this
They
point.
won't allow the election to be triggered with this shit out in the open. No, they won't. I don't know. It's like half calm, half like imperial. It's very strange.
I wonder, are there any dissenters? There haven't been any so far.
No, it's
They're all authoritarian. They all need to be taken out to the woodshed.
yeah,
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft, yes. It's all very what's the word I'm looking for? Here, where's the mute? Can I mute this? I don't know if I can mute this.
There's a way to mute the tab.
Because YouTube, even though
I didn't see what the independent voted. Shit.
Even though it's a freaking classical music, YouTube will be like, nah.
Commies, all of them commies.
Why can I not? That's not helpful. It won't let me mute anything.
Oh, well, I don't know. Start beatboxing.
We'll just speak over it. Okay. So, yeah, this is a very, like, this should, as we keep saying, this should be a confidence vote, but because everybody is too freaking scared, it's just, and there's no reason why they should be scared. They shouldn't. Last election shouldn't have happened, and this should be triggered. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
this election should be triggered, and the election we just had should never have happened. It's disgusting. Ride of the Valkyries. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like, Skep. It really does sound like Ride of the Valkyries, or like, honestly, some sort of Victorian party from a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like some drawing room party with the violins going off.
Yeah. Luckily, there's only going to be hopefully 1 minute left of it.
Hopefully.
And we're done. Because this is, well, now we're waiting electronic votes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just going through all the pictures and who voted for what, and it's completely just red versus blue.
Yeah.
No dissenters at all.
No. William Tell Overture. Yep. Yep, William Tell Overture. Oh, I don't hear any children downstairs. Hopefully they both went upstairs to bed.
30 seconds. Great.
Well,
what do they need to win by? 60%?
They're going to school tomorrow, but the youngest bit the oldest one, so he was upset for a while. So. Oh, screw this. I'm going out of camera view for a minute.
Okie dokie.
I'm having a smoke.
Electronic voting is done.
All right. Beep.
Back to the house.
Slowly back to the house.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I'm sick to my stomach.
Oh,
nervous.
I hear Alex.
There's no sound.
There's no sound. Why is there no sound?
You didn't change anything, so it's got to be their end.
Yeah.
Unless you did.
Do they know there's no sound? I hope they know. Hey, Parliament, do you know that your feed has no sound?
I wish to inform the
Hey!
House that the electronic voting period has ended. I will invite members who encounter technical difficulties to identify themselves. If members were not able to vote due to technical difficulties, they may now use the raise hand function and the chair will recognize them. Ms. Zurowitz.
Mr. Speaker, my app has asked me to confirm that I have voted, and I vote yay.
Your vote has been cast as yes. Madame Kayabaga.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je voudrais voter oui pour la motion.
Yes.
Fuck you.
Mr.
Who?
Morris.
Oh.
Mr. Speaker, I had issues with the app. I will be voting nay contre.
Yes.
Mr. Morris, nay contre.
Okay. Madame Wagenthal.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. I would like to confirm that I voted nay.
Against contre.
Mr. Hoback.
Mr. Speaker, I have to confirm that I voted no.
Mr. Fault.
Yeah, he confirmed.
Mr. Fault.
Oh my God, boomers.
As a nay.
Wow. That's 4 no's.
Mr. Fast.
Mr. Speaker, I vote no.
5 no's.
Mr. Fast. Against contre.
To 1 yes.
Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to make sure you know that I vote no to this motion.
Mr. McLean. Against contre.
Monsieur Singh.
Yes.
I vote for the motion.
Yeah.
Shame.
Shame. For poor.
Shame.
Ms. Thomas.
Mr. Speaker, I want to confirm that my vote is no.
So we've
Mrs.
got
Thomas,
7
against
no's to
contre.
2 yeses electronically.
Ms. Goodridge.
With the people who had trouble.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to confirm that my vote is no.
Wow.
It is confirmed. Mr. Genius.
Interesting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to confirm that my vote was cast as a nay.
It is registered. Mr. Redekop.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just too want to confirm that my vote was cast as a negative nay.
Your vote was registered as nay. Mr. Stewart.
Hello. Come off mute, Mr. Stewart.
Mr. Stewart.
Hey, Mr. Stewart.
Okay, maybe we'll go back. Ms. Kwan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My voting app was not working, and I vote yes.
Ms. Kwan, pour 4.
Ms. Gray.
Mr. Speaker, I vote no.
That is confirmed.
That is confirmed. Mr. Tolney.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to confirm that my vote was a nay.
This is
Your
interesting.
vote was registered as nay. Mr. Viss.
Mr. Speaker, I confirm that my vote was nay.
It is confirmed at nay. Mr. Stewart.
Can you hear me?
Go for it.
Pincalo thinks Jagmeet Singh will be taken out as leader.
Can you hear me now?
Interesting.
Anyway, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we'll come
He
on.
just lost the Sikh vote. Yep.
Yeas pour 185, 185. Nays contre 151,
Oh!
51.
I declare the motion carried.
That was so close.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition, on a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to file with you pursuant to Section 59 of the Emergencies Act, a motion to revoke the Prime Minister's emergency declaration that was proclaimed last week.
Or that.
The motion is signed by more than 20 members of the Conservative Party.
Point of order, point of order, point of order.
House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, there was a House order. The House would adjourn after the vote.
Oh, fuck you.
We were waiting for.
Go home if you want.
I'll let her finish, and then we'll finish up
Consider
tonight.
the matter at the next sit-in week. I say this to all Canadians, that Conservatives will continue to use every tool at our disposal to end the Prime Minister's abuse.
The Honourable. Forget him.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
You can't even
This is not a point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Are we done? The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I would just like to take the time to thank the staff who stayed over the course of the weekend, the clerks, the House administration. It has been a long hour. This has been a historic debate, but I think we should thank all the people who serve this place for their incredible service. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gloat a little bit more.
Come,
It being 8:23 p.m. pursuant to the order made Thursday, February 17th, 2022. The House stands adjourned until Monday, February 28th, 2022 at 11 a.m. pursuant to Standing Order 28.
Seriously, you guys are breaking for fucking... You're breaking for a week?
Yeah, of course. That's the plan. They hand over the power and then walk away.
They literally just got back into session fucking 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're going to take another week off.
While JT can start arresting whoever he wants. More so.
Yeah, the Conservatives are going to do... he wants a cigarette and a coffee. Yep. All the libs can do is cry and run away. Yep.
Eat babies and rejuvenate. Man,
They did work on the long weekend. That is true. They did debate all weekend, but I mean, they wouldn't have had to debate had Trudeau not done what he did.
Pissed.
Like, I'm not surprised, but I'm still annoyed. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I kind of am surprised. I thought that there'd be more people who'd be like, "No, this is not what I signed up for."
I was glad that there were as many as there were. I was really I was cynical. I thought there were going to be a lot more or a lot less no's than there were. I thought we were going to see like 100 no's. And we saw 151. So, and I guarantee you that there were caucus meetings on the NDP and Liberal side that said if you don't vote yes, you may as well resign.
Mm-hmm.
That I guarantee you there were meetings of that nature.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling that there were a few more Liberal and NDP candidates, probably more Liberal candidates than NDP candidates, honestly, that in their quiet selves probably don't feel very good right now. I would hope. Like, I don't know if I'm still maybe a little bit too optimistic.
Yeah.
But I would hope that there are a few MPs that you know, that caucus meeting, you know, they felt, you know, that they had no choice. And I it's not something, you know, you don't really wish something like that on people, but honestly, at this point, I do hope that there are some people that are not happy with what just happened, even if though they voted yes. And I hope that that sticks with them and that they kind of take that with them to fuel maybe a change.
Sorry, I'm just kind of stunned silence right now.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Dishonor your ancestors. Yep. This was like it's a like it's a sad night because I was, you know, that last like patriotic part of me was like, come on, right? You know, but
Yeah.
like and there are going to be, like, I know that the conservatives are going to be working on every legal tool they have to get this gone. You know what I mean? Like I have a feeling that this is going to probably get the PPC and the conservatives back on the same page and reunite them. And because, you know, there's the saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? And so you get together, you put your differences aside, and you fix this shit.
It's so disgusting that these people can play games, play politics
Yeah.
with our just basic rights and freedoms to just conduct ourselves.
Pincalo says, also, it doesn't really affect our everyday lives. It's just an annoying part of our system. That's true. But, like, the fact...
Not today, maybe tomorrow.
That's what I mean. Like, the fact that this is even a discussion, like, it could very well eventually affect us if we don't stop it when it doesn't. Right? Like, that's why it starts to affect everyday people, because we have that, you know, oh, it doesn't affect us, so it's like not that big of a deal until it does. And then when it starts to affect the everyday common man, it's almost too late to fix it without something like really bad happening. Party discipline is a weakness of the parliamentary system, says Costin. Yeah, it is. It is. That is a big weakness.
I'm just so sorry I'm not more talkative.
It's okay. It's a very somber, like it and it's frustrating because there's really not much that like you and me can do, right, besides talk about it. And bring light to it and like explain what it means. But I mean, at least that's something, I guess. Like, at least we're part of the, like, putting both sides of, like, we're part of taking a look at the bullshit on both sides, picking out what's not bullshit, putting it all together, and going, here's the big picture.
Yeah.
You know, like that. And I guess that's helpful in a way of some sort, right? Like, but it's still very disheartening.
Yeah.
Oh no, this specific time doesn't affect anything. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Well, guys, I think we've pretty much covered what we came here to cover.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I am going to go help Pink Hollow with the ridiculous children because they have school tomorrow and they need to not be up until 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So I shall end this and thank you
Alrighty.
guys for watching. Remember to catch me on Minions tomorrow night with Skep Talk and catch Skep Talk and I here on Wednesday. So thank you, Functional, for joining me again. And go paint and feel better.
I might take that. Night, folks.
Good night, guys. Have a good night.